So we're live. Hi guys, thanks very much for joining us today for our 25th community call. We are handling this on the monthly basis with the Equilibrium team. My name is Alex. As you know, I'm the CEO and the founder with Equilibrium. We're building the future of DeFi, putting together the most comprehensive DeFi platform on the Summer ecosystem. So today I'm joined by my colleagues. We have a fully packed agenda ahead of us and very interesting guests from Parity will be discussing all things DeFi. And probably the most important thing for today's call is to cover 2022 and highlight some milestones for 2023. And obviously, in spite of the coming festive season, we would love to congratulate you upon the coming holidays, but we will take it a little bit later, do it a little bit later. So from now on, let me give it out to my colleague to introduce themselves. Peter, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you. As usual, I'm Peter. I'm the tech team manager with the Equilibrium team. And now let me pass it to Natalie so she can introduce herself.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone. This is Natalie here from Equilibrium's business development team. I'm super happy to be here and meet you guys again. Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
Amazing. So as usual, we have prepared some slides for you. Let me share my screen just real quick. Hold on a sec. Yeah, here it is. There we go. Okay, guys, can you see that? All good?
Yep.
Amazing. So firstly, to kick this off, let me highlight the main points of today's agenda. As I said, the agenda is super packed. First of all, we'll be covering the latest news with Equilibrium. We're super excited that eventually all our developments went live on our own Parity chain on Polkadot. We'll even conduct some small live demo of the functionality which we currently have on the table. After that, we will conduct a small panel with special guests from Parity. So we'll have our colleagues covering the most important news of the ecosystem for the past few months, some period of time, and we will discuss the future of DeFi. Probably some exciting updates will come from them, and also like highlight some further plans for the next year. We'll give you an overview of what happens in this year. This year, as you know, was pretty packed for different events, not only with our project, but with the markets overall. But we will give you the bird's view on 2022 from the perspective of the most impactful events that we have foreseen in the course of the year. We also will be highlighting milestones for 2023 and sharing with you some of our most kind of impactful and important plans for the coming year. We'll be also covering the topic of our governance, and actually that's something that is actually deserves very close attention, because our governance will be bootstrapped right after New Year's, and basically there will be a few initial proposals quite interesting for the community, including Q listing. We'll touch on this in the course of the presentation. There will be also like few updates on our EQ offering, and also some distributions on Genshiro and Kusama. And as usual, we'll be highlighting development updates. Peter will be covering that. So let's kick this off. Firstly, as I said, we wanted to mention that Equilibrium went live literally last week, and we are super excited about this event because we were preparing for that actually in the course of the last couple of years, developing probably the most comprehensive DeFi product line in the Summer ecosystem, which actually is designed to provide high leverage on borrowing and trading without compromising system stability, thanks to extensive financial engineering on the background of the protocol. And the scope of functionality, as you know, includes the money markets. We also have the native decentralized EQD stablecoin. We'll touch on that in greater detail in the course of the presentation as well, because we'll be putting a lot of efforts and attention into the stablecoin thing specifically in the coming couple of months at least, and later on in the course of the further product development. Also, we have the spot markets with margin trading functionality, which is not launched yet, but it's going to be live in the coming few weeks, liquid dot staking, and many others. So it's basically like, if we look at the product line, we can divide it into three groups. It's synthetic assets like stablecoin and other some dot derivatives, including X dots and dots, like we call it EQ for liquid staking, the money markets, and the DEX with order book, which allows for spot trading, and eventually perpetual trading as well. So currently we are supporting the main native Polkadot based assets, including obviously DOT itself, also USDT, which is native for state mine. We also have launched liquid dot staking mechanics, because for us, like from our understanding, it's quite essential to stake dots before you actually go for using any type of DeFi products. Therefore, you kind of need to have these products in your product line to make it kind of reasonable for liquidity providers to step in and start using your products. So thus we have decided to launch it, and actually it's currently live, and you can play with that. So you can stake your dots, get EQ dot wrapper, and put it in existing liquidity pools. Also, we are supporting our own kind of native assets for Equilibrium, which is our EQ token, and the EQD stablecoin, which is backed to dollar and backed by the collateral of crypto portfolio. We will touch again on that in the course of the presentation in greater detail. So the next steps for us in terms of rolling out of functionality of the platform is launching the order book based DEX. Again, it will happen in the course of the next few weeks. And stablecoin swap engine will also go live quite soon with a few stable swap pools. So right now, the next steps in terms of further integration of the DotSum ecosystem is obviously lying in the field of XCM integration with other parachain projects. Right now, we are forcing the proposal on Moonbeam to add WBTC, WETH, and USDC assets from multi-chain on the XCM connector between our parachains. Right after that, we will be kicking off the integration with multi-chain bridge. Farming program to boost EQD supply will also start off in January. There will be curve-like pool on our stablecoin swap engine within the platform with the USDC EQD pair. And also, we're expecting to onboard more market makers for the DEX and boost liquidity for DOT EQD pair there. From now on, Natalie will be covering EQD stablecoin.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yeah, happy to share with everyone our very big ambition for our EQD stablecoin. Before I go into the detail, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about the stablecoin landscape in the DotSama ecosystem currently. Like, if you look at the stablecoin landscape in the DotSama ecosystem today, like we have like sort of like two main categories. So the first category would be like the, the USDC, the USDT, the BUSD, the FRAX, and so on. So these sort of like this basket, they have like the most liquidity in the ecosystem. However, they are EVM based and they require bridging, and therefore there is like bridging risk. And not just that, there is like this sort of like fragmentation in liquidity because like they are non-fungible. Like we have, let's just take like USDC as an example. We have like multi-chain USDC, we have Stellar USDC, we have the XLR version of USDC, Nomad version of the USDC, and wormhole version of the USDC, and they are sort of like non-fungible. And they, before we had this like multi-chain EVM XCM setup, it's like these stable coins, they are not transferable to other parachains, like the non-EVM parachains. So these kind of stable coin, they are awesome, but then they have several issues. Like the most obvious one is the bridge risk, and the other one is like non-fungible and therefore fragmentation liquidity. So, and the other category is like the decentralized native asset-backed stablecoin, which we have like AUSD and EQD. However, after the Akalas incident, unfortunately, they have not gained their peg. So we think EQD stablecoin is like in a very good position to be one of the major native decentralized EQD stablecoin in the Polkadot ecosystem. Because there are several reasons, like EQD sort of fulfill like all the desired criteria for a good stablecoin in the ecosystem. Like if you look at stablecoin, like what are the desired features for a stablecoin? So let's say, for example, it has to be censorship resistant. For example, it has to avoid breach risk at all costs. For example, it has to be like easily accessible by users. Like if I want to get hold of this stablecoin, I can get it like easily, and it should be very secure. So if you look at EQD stablecoin, it actually is like fulfill all these criteria. Like the first one, tight peg to dollar. Like EQD is secured by like 3 layers of protection. Like the very first one is like the layer 1 is over collateralized sort of requirement. And layer 2 being it's secured by our very innovative insurance pool mechanism. And the layer 3 being secured by stability fund that is backed by EQ Treasury. So it has this like built-in strong peg guarantee mechanism behind EQD stablecoin. So that's awesome. And secondly, because it's substrate native and it's like XM transferable to any parachains and dApps, therefore it's like a sort of like a routing asset that unifies all parachains and dApps. And thirdly, because EQD will be supporting like all major Polkadot major sort of assets, like for example, parachain native assets like, you know, Glimmer, Astar, DOT, CDOT, and all sorts of liquid DOT, and stablecoin as well. Of course, there are certain requirements that need to be fulfilled before it's qualified as collateral for minting EQD, but in general, that's the case. So because it supports like all these sort of major Polkadot native assets, it's like truly the DOT Sama native ecosystem, sort of EQD stablecoin that sort of unifies all these parachains and dApps. And lastly, EQD is supported by like genuine, solid use cases that would help to boost the liquidity of EQD. For example, there are a lot of sort of EQD use cases. Like for example, it can be used as routing assets to route from one parachain to another, from one parachain to dApp and back and forth, and also can be a routing asset from Polkadot to Kusama ecosystem after the Polkadot Kusama bridge is done. And it could be used for like, for example, like decentralized sort of a medium of exchange on, let's say, an NFT platform, IDO platform. And it could be like used as a code currency on DEX, especially, of course, EQ. We have our own order book-based DEX as well. And it could be also be used as code currency on the DEX of other parachain, for example, like Polkadex or other DEX that may find useful sort of use cases on EQD. So these are all the example of solid use cases that could help to serve as a foundation for this EQD demand. So as next step, like because we have this sort of ambition for our EQD, we are launching sort of like an ecosystem-wide initiative. We are talking to many parachains. They can be like DeFi dApps on Moonbeam and Astar. We are talking to also DeFi parachains. We are talking to non-DeFi parachains as well. So we are currently trying to understand if they see also any EQD use cases. For example, we are talking to Composable Finance, Polkadex, like Ayuna, Unit Network. We are talking to Oak, Litentry, and so on. So to understand if they see any potential EQD use cases, and then we will try to like come up with some sort of partnership and to deploy EQD across the ecosystem. So That's what we are doing right now. And for this to happen, like there are certain things that needs to be done. Like, for example, the very first sort of the basic layer, like what needs to be done is opening XCM channels. So currently we are opening channel with Moonbeam and Astar. Parallel is already done. I think today our dev just tested like transferring assets from Parallel to Equilibrium, and that's like all good. So that's awesome. So like the very first basic layer is to opening XCM channels with all these parachains. And once that is done, then we'll be launching liquidity bootstrap event to increase the circulating supply of EQD. So that will happen on Equilibrium first. Like, for example, just an example, like what could happen is that like you could actually stake DOT, liquid stake DOT on Equilibrium and get that liquid EQ DOT as a DOT wrapper and use that as collateral to mint EQD and then put that in our curve pool, for example. So this exercise will return like a very high sort of APY. So we think that this is like awesome use case because like for one, we are providing actual use case to these DOT wrappers, like because currently if you look at the like Polkadot ecosystem, like there are many versions of liquid DOTs. However, they are not quite supported by like a lot of solid use cases. However, in our case, we'll be supporting like lots of solid use cases for our liquid EQ DOT, like the very first one being as collateral for minting EQD. So that would be the first one. So we are killing like 2 birds in one stone. Like we help to provide use case for EQ DOT, and we help to also increase the EQD's circulating supply. So that's like the sort of like the first thing that we're gonna do, which is a liquidity bootstrap event on Equilibrium. And the second thing would be launching like joint campaigns with DEX on Moonbeam and DEX on Astar to list EQD there. So the main goal of that is to actually provide like easy accessibility to users for Astar ecosystem users and Moonbeam ecosystem users. So they have a venue to get hold of EQD. So that's the whole objective of that. So yeah, we'll be launching all these things very soon. So we will be finalizing the details and release the details when we have finalized all these things. And yeah, just stay tuned to our socials. We'll be announcing those details soon when we have it. Yeah, thanks.
All right. I guess it's my turn right now. Thank you very much, Natalie. Yes, we're really excited about pushing EQD wherever possible. And so a lot of our development work is currently shifting to actual biz dev work. And hopefully we get the things sorted out sooner than later. And right now, I would love to show you what we currently have in our platform. So please bear with me. I'll share my screen and let me just a second. A window. All right. Can you see my screen? Guys, say something, please.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we have launched the live platform. I'm already inside the Equilibrium application, and you can see pretty much your main screen here. And right now I will cover several use cases you can already utilize. And well, the most exciting part about those is the actual DOT staking thing and what you can do with those dots. So yeah, to get things quick, let's start with this depositing some DOT tokens into Equilibrium. So as you can see, I'll be depositing DOT from Polkadot relay chain. Let's say I want to deposit 5 DOT. So let me hit that, sign the transaction, and see what happens. I already have some activity on the accounts I'm using right now. Wow, that was fast. Let's go to my wallet and see that I have. Yeah, as you can see, I have some DOT tokens sitting in my wallet. And I also have already some EQ dots, and I borrowed some stuff. So a lot of stuff happened on this account. But let me show you the most exciting part. So once you have DOT inside the system, you can actually go to DOT staking and stake DOT and earn some rewards. current API is around 12.5%. It's lower than the actual staking API because with our stake.dot implementation, we actually utilize the reserve ratio approach. So we stake only 80% of all of the DOT tokens users bring into the system, and other 20% are left to be as a cushion against the immediate withdrawals users might have. So as you can see here, the current cushion is 200 DOT. So whoever withdraws less than that amount, he can withdraw those dots instantly without the need to wait for the unbonding period, which in Polkadot lasts for 28 days. Of course, you'll have to pay transaction fee for that, and that fee is around 1%. So as you can see, I already have some stake here. I already distributed EQ dots from this account into different places inside the equilibrium. But let's stake some more so you can see how it works. The minimum stake amount is 5 dots. So let's take the bare minimum. I will be receiving this much EQ dots because current price is 1.2 dots per 1 EQ dot. So let's hit the stake, sign the transaction, and wait. You should see my balance increase, and pretty much I should get those EQ dots on my wallet. And the best part, I'm using the account our testers play with a lot, and they did a really clever thing. So they got a whole bunch of EQ dots. As you can see, my EQ dot balance increased, and they used it in borrowing. So let's hop to borrow page to actually borrow some dot, and they again used those dots to go ahead and stake and get more EQ dots, and pretty much this is how the leveraged staking works. Of course, in order to be able to do so, you would need to have a lot of dot liquidity sitting in our money market. But as Natalie told you, this is our current prime objective to attract some more liquidity into the ecosystem, into all the different places you can put it into. So once we have enough liquidity there, you as a user will be also able to do that. So here's my borrowing account. So yeah, let's deposit some more EQ dot here so I can borrow some more stuff. Let's put all I have. So I'll be adding all of the collateral here. And I'll go ahead and borrow some EQD. And we don't have any functioning pools with EQD right now, but as Natalie said, we are currently preparing UI for the Curve stable swap implementation of ours. And the first pool we're going to be bootstrapping is going to be the EQD against native USDT. And later on, we will bootstrap the tri-pool, EQD, native USDT, and the USDC token. So as you can see, my borrower balance increased, my margin increased as well. Also, the best part about leveraged staking is that since EQ dot and dot tokens are perfectly correlated, you don't actually bear any risk of liquidation. So you can keep your margin at really, really low level, and you will never get below like the maintenance margin or the liquidation threshold. And pretty much you can leverage staking for up to 5x right now, which could effectively increase your APR to 60% a year. Really impressive. So as you can see, I have some dot debt and EQD debt. So let me borrow some more EQDs. I want to have those on my account. Maximum set to borrow safely is 24. Let me borrow 5, for example. So sign the transaction. And I should see those EQDs appear on my master account. So after the transaction passes, let's head back to the wallet page and see that I do indeed have EQDs. Yes, before I had 1, now I have 6 EQDs. And you can also check your balances. For example, in here, it's divided by the pool, pretty much it's sitting in. So on my wallet, I currently have 6 stable coins. I have some stuff in the insurance pool. I have some stuff in the borrower pool, and I'm also lending out 1 DOT as an example. We're also some more exciting news. As you know, we have a fully on-chain DEX, but we are currently arranging some initial liquidity for the market maker. And the first pair we're going to be launching is the DOT against EQD. Don't expect much liquidity to be there initially. And after that, we're planning to work on some bootstrap events and to attract liquidity into the market maker pools, which is like a whole different story in Equilibrium, because we have gathered substantial feedback from Genshiro. We know all the ups and downs we had there and all of the obstacles with market maker pools we encountered there, and we would love to improve on that. So we already have like this comprehensive technical assignment, but unfortunately there are more questions than answers there as of now. So we'll be answering those hopefully by the end of the year. And we're going to start the next 3 year really productive and introduce market maker pools as well. And after that, we'll be launching trading pairs one by one on our DEX, and hopefully you will enjoy that. Apart from that, I think that's it. That's all I wanted to show you today. And hopefully, yeah, all of this made sense. So thank you very much. Now I'm turning off my screen sharing and passing it back to Alex. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, Peter. It was really a nice presentation of the functionality of Equilibrium. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. And by the way, you can go right away to our application and start using that. So we are expecting more liquidity influx in the beginning of the next year. And definitely it will become more and more interesting for the community to come in to play with all this functionality. So right now we wanted to invite on the screen our today's guests. We have 2 guys from Parity. It's Nicholas and Ray to join our today's conversation. We will be discussing in the form of some kind of improvised panel the issues with DeFi on Polkadot, and also, yeah, so just a sec. Inviting guys to the screen right now, yeah, so we'll be touching on different aspects. Hopefully, they have some hot news from the Dot Summer ecosystem and some updates from Parity. So that's something we'll be expecting. Okay, so Rise here, Nicholas. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, Ray. Great
Hi.
to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. And hello and happy holidays to the Equilibrium community.
Absolutely.
Hi,
hey guys, thank you very much for the invite. Excited to be here with you guys.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks very much for coming over, and definitely pleasure to have you guys here on our today's community call. And yeah, I think everyone here is excited to have representatives from Parity themselves sharing some, great details on the DotSum ecosystem and what's going on, and maybe some further plans, like in the first hands, from the first hands. And yeah. Why don't you just introduce yourself one by one? We'll start probably with Ray then.
Sure. So my name is Ray, and I manage the growth programs at Parity and also the DeFi initiatives. I'm working very closely with Nico here. Our job is to facilitate our DeFi ecosystem, make sure our teams have the resources that they need, but also most importantly to really enable the ecosystem to self-evolve and self-pilot. Yeah.
Hey everyone, so as I mentioned, I'm Nicholas, originally from Colombia, currently the DeFi lead in Parity, part of the growth team. Actually pretty new in the job. This is my fifth week. As Ray mentioned, our main goal is to provide all the tools and resources for the Dotsama ecosystem to have a thriving and vibrant DeFi ecosystem. And the way that we kind of divide each role is Ray's more focused in supporting currently existing parachains and projects, and I'm a little bit more outward looking in trying to find the next equilibriums and Akalas and Moonbeams of the world and bring them to Polkadot to enhance our DeFi ecosystem. So thank you very much again for having us.
Absolutely, likewise, pleasure. And yeah, thanks for these intros, really helpful. So we actually wanted to touch today on the overall state of the DeFi ecosystem in Dotsama. Firstly, just to talk a little bit on the current state, to highlight probably some weaks and strengths of the DeFi environment on Polkadot specifically, and probably a little bit on Kusama. So let's probably just I'll let you guys just give some brief overview of the current state of things as you see it.
Maybe I can go first a little. I think we just had a Parachain Summit in Lisbon, and we have a DeFi session which is moderated by Nico here. We're talking about the strengths and weakness and how we go from there, right? The way I look at it right now is I think our DeFi ecosystem is really like unifying. We're observing multiple initiatives actually spearheaded by the ecosystem. And for instance, I think there is a initiative by the Interlay team, right, to get the multiple parachains integrated with some fiat on off-ramp providers. And this is actually a multi-parachain, especially DeFi parachain kind of initiative. So very, very glad to see that. But that also demonstrates a reality where we have some of these in very infrastructure level pieces that are not ready yet. It's mainly because our ecosystem is actually quite, I can't say quite young now, but it's still young. We're literally 1 year since the launch of Parachain, right? And because our tech infrastructure is slightly different than Ethereum, and a lot of these service providers, they are very much the product very much shaping around Ethereum. So it takes a little bit of time to engage with them. But what I can share is that the way that I'm observing is these are happening, right? We'll be having major custodians supporting all these and multiple exchanges coming and support all these. I think yesterday, I think Gate is already supporting native USDT withdrawal and deposits. So if any of the community members is interested, they can start using that. And I think next, and also I think the general market condition is we all know what's happening out there. And if you look at the entire TVL of DeFi in general, it's actually dropping a lot. But we were just having this conversation with Alex, right? I say but if you look at the our ecosystem TVL, they're actually rising in dollar terms. And I think that's a significant vote of confidence. And we're getting a lot of interest from the market into the Polkadot ecosystem after all this chaos, right? So I'm personally very, very optimistic about our ecosystem, especially the DeFi segment for the next year.
Right.
Yeah, my part, I'll definitely let me just
go
brief
ahead.
complementation there. So I'll echo a lot of what Ray say, and I think it's a product of the complexity of our architecture. The complexity of Polkadot's architecture, of course, being a heterogeneous, parallel sharded architecture, brings a lot of pros, right? Which is the promise of Polkadot. First, specialization, which is one example, Equilibrium. You're creating a DeFi focused and specialized blockchain. Second, interoperability, right? Which is how these completely different specialized blockchains connect to each other, create synergies, and as a result, create new and innovative products that another ecosystem like Solana, Avalanche, or Ethereum just cannot be physically created, right? So that's the promise. I think we haven't seen and lived that promise just because of the complexity of architecture creates also some cons. And those cons are some of the ones that obviously Ray are mentioned, and one of our biggest focus for the first half of next year, which are very trivial in other ecosystems, but not trivial in ours, like exchange integrations, on and off ramps, bridging infrastructure, native stable coins, custodians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're very excited to kind of reduce that friction of coming into the ecosystem. Once we reduce that friction and we get more users and liquidity, more avenues for people to bring liquidity in, I think that's when we're going to start seeing the promise of Polkadot, those interactions between parachains creating very innovative products. So that's something that has us very excited from the Parity side.
Totally agree. That sounds really exciting, and hopefully this will come together at some point. I don't know, next year. My question here is about the efforts that Parity specifically puts into bringing this together. I mean, helping projects to get onboarded, let's say, with custodians or with some other external solutions. Because, like, from our experience, it's really hectic to act here alone, because you know, every single service provider has their own development pipeline, and if it's approached by just single parachain project, it's not impactful enough for them to even think of fitting this in their kind of quite packed pipeline of their integrations. So, like, given different segments of these potential integrations and service providers, like, can you probably highlight some specific kind of directions where you guys moving, and how exactly you're planning to help parachain projects to get there?
I would like to say that as much as, you know, as Parity, we would very much like to hands-on, right? We very much also realize it's not a sustainable approach for the Polkadot network to continue evolve, right? So if you notice, we have significantly more treasury proposals in the last few months, because we're really encouraging the community leveraging the on-chain treasury to conduct all these initiatives that's deemed to benefit Polkadot and also benefit different parachains, right? And the reason that I mentioned about this parachain-led on-off-ramp integration is a perfect example. So, and also what we mentioned about like custodian integration and all that is actually more or less spearheaded by certain parachains as well, and we're very proud to see that. So we would envision our role to continue to be the steward for all this development, right? But we really want to see the parachains like yourselves really come out and lead some of the fruits that you think that's good for yourself and it's good for the ecosystem in general, right? Because this is what the on-chain treasury is for. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and we definitely tried that in Kusama, and we're definitely planning to try approaching the treasury in Polkadot. But yeah, we still gotta sort out lots of stuff there first. I have a question from my side. I recently stumbled upon a post by Joe Petrovsky on a Polkadot forum where one of the things he mentioned is the DEX built on StateMint or StateMine. So what do you guys think? I haven't had the time to actually skim through because it had a lot of responses and it's like a very, very long read, but I'm gonna do that. So what do you think? Will it actually benefit the entire ecosystem, or will it be like a competitor to something like we're building or other parachains building in terms of AMMs and stuff?
I can maybe start to take a stab at that one. So yeah, definitely invite the community to go in and engage in the post. It's probably one of the most engaging posts that we've had in quite some time. And in our personal opinion, I think it's something that would benefit the ecosystem. But I do want to state like what the end goal of this is. and where the DEX is just one of the components providing a solution for that goal, right? The goal is reducing friction to entry of the ecosystem, which is a lot of what Ray and myself have been mentioning in this call. There's a lot of pain points for users from outside Polkadot, be it Ethereum, Solana, or centralized exchanges, or fiat into Polkadot, have a hard time to getting into Polkadot. Let's call it just the relay chain, right? So that's the main pain point that we're trying to solve. And in Joe's post, he put several points, one of them being the DEX. The first one that he mentioned, actually, I think is one of the most relevant ones, is adding a instance in statement where parachain tokens are going to be able to live natively. And that's going to have a huge impact on the things that Ray was mentioning with service providers like centralized exchanges, custodians, on and off ramps, because now they're going to have the possibility of supporting parachain tokens by just supporting statement, right? That's going to be super powerful, and that's going to really reduce the barriers to entry to the ecosystem. The second component is,
Nicholas,
as Peter mentioned,
interrupting, does that also relate to different wallets?
Yes, but not so much as centralized exchanges and custodians, because wallets do have to be integrated directly into each parachain. But on that point, I think on wallets, we're actually doing a great job. That's one of the components that our ecosystem has improved greatly in the past 6 months, right? You have players like Talisman really breaking some barriers in terms of UX, Nova Wallet, and several others there really pushing the boundaries to create better UX on the wallet front. But then the last point, just to not leave your question unanswered, the DEX component of it, as I mentioned, is just a part of the several solutions to reducing the barriers to entry. And the functionality of this DEX initially would be to be able to pay gas on any token, right? At the end of the day, collators are going to be still receiving DOT as the reward, but a user can come in with, let's say, USDT and not have to swap for DOT to be able to pay the fee, but the DEX being able to do that underneath the hood. So we're kind of leveraging the power of Substrate to be able to enhance the UX and once again get liquidity and users in. And once they're in, then it's just one extra step going into Equilibrium, going into Akala, going into Mobini, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're aiming for with the new functionality and statement.
Awesome. Are there any plans to include some fiat on ramps for that
for a statement? So from this bulk deal that the parachains are negotiating with the external fiat on-ramp providers, statement is included as well. From as far as I know, direct fiat into stable coins, it's discussed as well. So this is something that I briefly chatted with Alex. I think this is obviously something very beneficial for you guys, and you guys should definitely be part of that conversation. And it will be amazing to, like, some users can directly unwrap their euros into EQD, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Just a heads up. So probably we have not touched on that yet. So we are planning for quite extensive expansion of EQD outside the boundaries of Equilibrium, and now talking to multiple projects in different ecosystem, including Moonbeam, Mastar, and others. So right now, just waiting until like few things happen, like including like XCM connections eventually established between us and all these ecosystems. And definitely, like, our EQD stablecoin might be potentially a good addition to this state mine initiative, right? So it can be integrated either into DEX or some other operations on through this components that Nicholas mentioned. So guys, probably like we actually have running a little bit out of time. I wanted to ask probably just last question. So do you have any news or exciting announcements that you wanted to share with our communities, which is related to the .sum ecosystem?
I think our Twitter account has been doing a good job in terms of updating the community. So there's a Polkadot roundup that's actually sharing the ecosystem-wide updates. And also I think, the recent news is really the statement roadmap And also, I think for next year, right, asynchronous backing is something that's going to be out as well. XCM v3 is going to be there very, very soon. And beyond that, we'll just be doing our 3 flagship events next year and doing more stuff regionally. So we'd love to collaborate with the EQ team, on all these initiatives.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that and definitely will be supportive. Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas, go ahead.
Awesome,
I
guys.
mentioned the small one, USDT becoming a sufficient asset. It sounds maybe trivial, but it's a huge step up for the ecosystem, and a lot of more of these type of infrastructural pieces that we were missing are going to be coming very soon. I saw they're even mentioned in your roadmap, so we'll be happy to providing more updates as they come in.
Yeah, looks like 2023 is going to be an awesome year for the ecosystem. You've excited me so much. There's so much stuff we want to get our hands on. I feel like a kid who saw snow for the first time. I want to be like, oh, it's all mine. Let's do this and let's do that. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today, and we congratulate you upon the upcoming festive season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hopefully you will enjoy holidays.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Merry
Thanks
Christmas.
for joining us.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that was a nice conversation with our guest from Parity. So from now on, let us walk you through the remaining slides that we still have for you with our overview of the past achievements in this year. So we'll be like really quick, so we'll have some time to answer your questions, and hopefully like the next slides will help us to answer these questions as well. So firstly, let me highlight some most important achievements that we, and maybe probably milestones that we have achieved in the course of 2022. So if it comes to the first quarter of the year, the most exciting was winning the Parachain slot on Polkadot. We've been going through the crowd loan process, which took us like somewhat around almost 4 months to get there. We have collected quite a lot of dots, and if you remember, they had neck-to-neck race with our contenders, and eventually there was additional 2 auctions. We won in the first one of these additional auctions. So it was like really interesting times. In the second quarter, we have actually set up firstly headquarters in Lisbon, and some parts of our team is currently located there. We currently have also some plans for some other locations. We'll keep you guys updated. Actually, there are a few other announcements or updates that we had back then. We first of all have integrated with major ecosystem wallets, including sub wallets and Talisman. In that quarter, we have actually conducted the Polka Defiance event with almost 1,000 attendees. In the third quarter of the year, we actually put quite a lot of attention to our Genshiro developments. We have put out our proposal on treasury proposal on Kusama, which we eventually have withdrawn. If you probably followed our announcements, but that's actually was followed by some extensive roadmap for Genshiro developments, which was like almost everything has been accomplished, including like sudo removal. Right now, Genshiro is fully decentralized. We also have integrated with Subscan and actually done quite a lot of things in terms of our kind of improvements to the Genshiro setup. In the course of the year, we have attended multiple events across the world, including Token 2049 in Singapore, where we were actually attending with Natalie, talking to our partners and actually building some new connections in the crypto space. We also, like in Q4, we have achieved the extension of our Genshiro Parity chain. We're super excited about that. We also have hosted the closed beta launch of Equilibrium, which have seen quite a lot of activity from the side of our community. Again, we received like 10,000 applications for that, and almost 5,000 users were actually testing that, being accepted for the closed beta phase. We have conducted the EQ offering phase 2, as you can remember, and actually in December we have launched Equilibrium Live literally last week. So that was the awesome year with quite packed agenda. We had accomplished quite a lot of exciting things, and I think that the whole team of Equilibrium was very much involved and passionate about what we were doing, and definitely more to come. We have quite a lot of plans for 2023, and let me highlight probably some milestones that we're gonna accomplish. First of all, like there are 4 sections of main things that we're gonna do. First of all, it's building XCM connections with Parachain projects on Polkadot, and as you can see, the number of these projects is extensively growing as the crowd loaning and Parachain auction process moving forwards on .summer. And the first priority is obviously like the major players as Moonbeam. By the way, you can support the current proposal for establishing the connection between our parachains. Here you can see the QR code. If you scan it, you can follow the link and see this proposal. If you can support us, that would be really awesome and really, really helpful. So other projects in the higher priority for us is Asta, Bifrost. We already have established connection with Parallel, with Interlay, and also like in our focus right now is Polkadex, Unique, Composable, Centrifuge, and some other parachains listed here on the slide. So then, like the second component of our roadmap is liquidity bootstrap events. Firstly, we're planning to bootstrap internal so-called Epsilon pools, meaning stablecoin swap pools in our parachain, built on top of our curve-like liquidity swap solution that we have built this year. So we accomplished these developments and actually gonna launch it in full production like really soon. So we'll be bootstrapping pools with USDT and EQD stablecoins, USDC and EQD, and tripool USDT, EQD. Our other initiatives in terms of liquidity bootstrap is bootstrapping pools for the EQD stablecoin on the Moonbeam and Asta ecosystems. Also, Parallel is on our radar, and we're currently in talks with Polkadex how we can integrate EQD into their decentralized exchange as well. So Rai, during our conversation, also mentioned this state mine initiative, which is right now in the full swing and in terms of its kind of discussion. So we definitely will come up with some ideas of how EQD can be helpful there, and hopefully we'll have a chance to collaborate and contribute to the ecosystem and to this initiative as well. So in terms of partnerships, our goal is to build up the robust infrastructure around our products, including like cold wallets integrations, integrations with custodians, because it's like really requires from the sides of liquidity providers and market makers who want to put somewhat institutional amounts of funds into our projects. And also there are more partnerships to come in terms of integration of EQD into the different projects in the .summer ecosystem. So in terms of product development, there's also quite a lot of things to do. Obviously, the user experience will be constantly improving in the course of the year. We are planning to launch the kind of wide spectrum of different liquidity farming initiatives, which will firstly be targeting the higher TVL on Equilibrium, and on another hand side, we'll be actually boosting up or improving some parameters of token economy of the EQ token eventually. So we'll come up with a few kind of initiatives in the beginning of the next year in 2023. And also we're planning for more integrations with obviously bridges in the ecosystem and perpetual market launch at some point. So this is the scope for 2023. We're super excited to enter this year because from our understanding, it will be like really big year for Dot Summer. So hopefully we'll see a lot of kind of activity and some spike in liquidity in DeFi in the ecosystem, despite like the overall kind of chaos on the current crypto market. However, we will see, and I think we're moving in the right direction, and we're definitely trying to align our efforts with the efforts of our colleagues from Parity and other Parachain projects in this sense. Okay, so just few highlights on the past EQ offering, which was two-phased offering campaign. The first phase was hosted on the Republic Crypto platform in between July the 2nd and July the 9th. We have raised 500,000 USDC for that, and saw participation from the side of 288 contributors. The allocation for that phase was 65.4 million EQ tokens. And actually, the vesting schedule for this allocation is variable, starting from 3 months to 18 months vesting schedule. So we will actually publish the exact breakdown on our Medium like quite soon, and the actual distribution of allocations to Republic participants will happen in the next I would say a couple of weeks. So we are finalizing documents with Republic, closing all the deals, and once it will be done, we'll be ready at least technically to complete this distribution. So the second phase was conducted on our launchpad on the side of Equilibrium. It took place in between November 28th and December the 5th, just quite recently. We have raised almost 12,000 dots from 187 participants. The allocation that we are distributing according to the phase 2 is not that big. It's almost 8 million EQ tokens with vesting of linear vesting of six months. So Peter, probably correct me if I'm wrong, but this allocation for phase 2 participants will be distributed in the course of this.
I think we already did that. So,
right. Oh, nice.
yeah.
Okay, so we will put out the announcements anyways. so good to see that it's coming together. Nice. Okay, so and probably the last thing that I actually wanted to touch on this call from my side is the update on the Equilibrium's governance. We are launching it in January, so right now we're getting prepared for that. It's pretty much similar to the setup which Polkadot has on its relay chain. So it's basically the governance setup includes like two main components. It's public motions from EQ holders, so they can first of all put out some proposals and sponsor that, and the most supported proposals will get motion and actually will be moved to the public referenda, where community will be voting for the outcome of this proposal, whether it will be accepted or not. So on another side, we'll have the General Council and the Technical Council. These council members will be putting out their proposals directly to the referenda. So Technical Council will be putting out proposals more technically oriented, while General Council will be posting respectively more general proposals. So the home for our governance portal will be Polka Assembly. So right now we're working on the integration, and expectedly in January it will be accomplished. So actually, what's important here that the first voting on this governance mechanism will be voting for the next steps in terms of the EQ listing. So we actually decided that the market conditions are quite controversial. So based on our conversation with different market participants, the opinions vary from definitely not listing to like list now because then it will become even worse. So we actually decided to put it on the voting because right now we have pretty solid arrangements with a couple of major exchanges from I would say top 10 of exchanges on the markets, and I unfortunately, due to certain arrangements with these folks, we cannot disclose names of these exchanges. But again, you can probably try to figure out for yourself like what might be the candidates or potential exchanges for that. Given that's like top 10 ones. But anyway, so before we go for listing, we want to hear community decision. So expectedly, this is the tentative date, so probably it will move a little bit. But tentatively, starting January the 6th, we'll starting actual voting for EQ listing. We expect community to actually consider all pros and cons and make their own decision on whether go for listing in the current market conditions or push it a little bit back. So there will be the first motion, and hopefully, first of all, we want to see what would be the community involvement in this process of voting, and yeah, that would be like really interesting to see how it goes. Okay, so yeah, let me take it over to Peter, who will be covering other things that are remaining on our agenda today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. So well, the slide is a bit misleading. We started our Genshiro distributions, and we distributed the downside protection part, the 20% which goes directly to user balances. Yay, hooray, finally, all of your voices have been heard. I know it's been a long ride. You all waited for that for so long. And well, this is a nice Happy New Year present from us to you guys. So enjoy. We still have to do the crowd loan distribution, and that requires some tech work on our side because we can't really combine several vesting schedules, and a lot of users have vestings which are still undergoing inside Genshiro. So we'll have to find the intersection and to see what we do with those people who will need to have like a second vesting schedule. Anyways, please follow our announcements. We'll be covering all of that in greater detail in our blog posts. So hopefully you won't have any more unanswered questions in this regard. And that's it for the distribution. Let's move to the next slide, Alex, and I will briefly talk about our achievements on the dev front.
Yeah, we're already 4 minutes before the schedule, so please let's make it really nice and short.
Well, the most exciting part, finally launched Equilibrium. We already told you there's still lots of stuff ahead, and right now we're focusing more on the business side and the UX side, liquidity side, and making our stablecoin like a truly cross-chain stablecoin and the primary one you go to when you think about Polkadot and Kusama. Yeah, we are finalizing our connections with Moonbeam and Multi-Chain. There are two proposals up there. Please go ahead and see. The first one is for opening up the channel. The second one, the Multi-Chain, came up with the tokens, which we will be supporting here. And it's pretty much the first trustless bridge solution inside the entire ecosystem while everyone is waiting for the Snowfork thing to happen. We're really excited about that, and we'll be putting a lot of materials and some tech stuff on how we actually achieved that using Moonbeam's cross-chain smart contracts and leveraging multi-chain XCM proxy, and yeah, exciting stuff. So working on our balances, and in general, lots and lots of UI and UX work. And it seems like it's never ending because there's always a way to improve stuff. And when we're looking on our interfaces, even though they're so awesome and we feel we're like the best project out there in terms of UX, we still see a lot of room for improvement. We want to dump down things, not to overcomplicate that, make our flows straightforward, make it so users enjoy using Equilibrium more than anything else inside the ecosystem. And pretty much everything else was already covered. So governance, lots of UI, preparing some XCM integrations, changing balances. Last but not least, from previous community calls, you remember we were doing a lot of R&D work on zero-proof knowledge, and we have actually moved a lot in that regard and thinking on how to improve our DEX and make it fast and scalable. So Equilibrium DEX will be the primary exchange venue you will go to when you think about Polkadot and Kusama as well. So yeah, we're pretty well positioned to capture this entire ecosystem, and that's our main goal for 2023. So that's it for my part for the development updates, Alex. So I guess we can go ahead and answer some questions.
Yeah, we have 10 questions in the questionnaire section here. Let's go through them real quick. So the first question, when and where listing? Pretty obvious one. So we have covered that slightly. So we decided to put this on voting through our governance thing, which is going live in the beginning of January. Please keep up with our announcements. As usual, we will keep you guys posted, and you will be the first to know when this voting will come out. And once you vote for that, based on your guys' decision, we'll go for listing or postpone it a little bit. So here's congratulations on the New Year's holidays. MXCT7 is saying that we're doing a great job. Thanks very much. What is the purpose and what is the value of the token? What security measures will be taken to protect users? You can go to our website. There is pretty much all the details on the token economy there, and you can definitely look through that and do your own research. When listing, don't talk about such a big plan. Make it clear to your supporters. Pretty clear. Please go and vote. We'll be launching governance for Equilibrium in January, so you can go and vote. Based on your decision, we will go for listing or not. I mean, in the current markets, of course. So when do you plan to decentralize the set of EQ collators? Peter, do you want to take it?
Yeah, definitely. So we still need to sort out some other stuff, like roll out the governance, roll out some of the UI changes, and stabilize our blockchain. And after that, we will be engaging with external collators. There is a lot of interest from their part in participating in Equilibrium, but we even have to save some spots. I don't know. A lot of people are writing me every day and like, when? I'm like, okay, guys, chill out. Let us sort out all of the rest of the stuff, and then we'll be onboarding you one by one. And there's also lots of questions about incentives. We got to work that through. But definitely that's one of the stuff we're going to be engaged in right from the start of the 2023 next year. So, yeah, when media, and we'll announce whenever we're ready.
Right. So when I'll be able to claim my EQ from phase EQ from the phase 2 of distribution, I guess. And where is X.dot section on the new app? I've contributed some dot via your website for some projects. You can see my contribution X.dot page on the old website. It was visible. I know that I can see them on Genshiro, but it's just more simple to check my contribution on Equilibrium. Great question. So in terms of claiming, we are working right now on interfaces, the interface which will aggregate all distribution events that we had so far, and you will be able to see your allocation there. But trust me, you already have it in your wallet. So once you have your interface, you can do that in more convenient way. But if you kind of want to do that right now, you can go to the Polkadot.js and do that using more sophisticated instruments rather than just easy and sleek UI. But again, you need to wait I guess at max by probably January 12th or 13th or 15th, something like that, when this interface will be definitely up and running. So when listing and which exchange, we already covered that. Am I able to stake my Q anywhere in its raw form without liquidity pools, etc.? So we will actually put out a few options in terms of that, in terms of our overall liquidity mining proposal, and keep up with our announcements. And last but not least, is it possible to translate the JSON files into other languages from the platform to make it more friendly for non-English speakers? I can help with Portuguese. John Rodell asking a Persian boy. So,
you mean like translating website into other languages?
It says the JSON files. Look, I think let you connect our social kind of channel managers, and we'll communicate through this channel with you, and definitely figure out if there will be the necessity for that, and potentially why not. Okay, so I guess
Genshiro cats listed question.
Genshiro cats, yeah. So there is the year of the cats almost coming in its power. So we'll figure out what to do next with the Genshiro cats. So hopefully there will be some more utility of that on Genshiro specifically. So I guess that's pretty much it. So the guy is asking whether we need the translation of website and platform and platform translation. So yeah, let's keep in touch. Definitely, we would love to further explore this as well. But anyways, guys, I think that's pretty much it. We are kind of almost 15 minutes behind our schedule, but it was really, really nice call, really warm and really packed with, interesting conversations with our colleagues from Parity. We enjoyed it very much. Hopefully you did as well. We covered pretty much a lot in terms of Equilibrium's plans and stuff. So you can definitely follow us on our social media channels for further updates. And we are wishing you all the best in 2023. Happy holidays, happy New Year, and Merry Christmas. Hopefully we will meet here in next month at the end of January, as usually, with a few other exciting updates from our side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.